Hey everyone, in this video I want to show you how I made this hand using Nomad Sculpt and maybe give you a few tips that help me to improve as a sculptor. So I hope you enjoy watching. So here you see me using just the basic shapes to get the big forms down first, and that's my goal starting out any sculpt. Get the big forms down, don't worry about details yet, make sure proportions are right, and then you refine from there. So that's a good thing to keep in mind when we work in this way. And once you get this right, then everything else really falls into place and you have more fun sculpting. Also, before starting anything else, remember to get good references, especially if you're going after realism, because it's impossible for you to remember all the nuances, all the details that help your hand or anything that you're sculpting to not look like a mannequin. So you want to have enough references, not all references in the world, but just enough so that you can make your sculpt look more natural. I used in this case also my own hand, so that I had a living reference that gave me some information as to how the forms relate to one another, so that when I sculpt, it looked more natural and not too wooden. Also, if you have an issue with speed, taking forever to sculpt, just keep in mind the basic stages, such as the primary forms, working on that first, the big shapes like what you see at the start of this video, then working on the secondary shapes, the smaller things, and then finally the details that we love to get to, but sometimes we get there a little too early. So if you remember that primary forms first, then secondary forms, then the details, you'll notice that your sculpting speeds up along with using references. So you're not spending time guessing or wondering what shapes and the pose and things like that, what you're going to do. So that will really help you to speed up. For some time in this video, you realize that I was working on just the basic shapes. But once I'm confident that I have what I need, then I merge all the separate shapes together using the voxel merge. Then I tend to remesh at this stage, and when I'm sure that I'm ready to add further details, the secondary shapes, then I will subdivide. If I want to add even more details, if the file allows me, I'll add a little more subdivision. But I only subdivide when I need to. I really try to stay in the stage I'm in to get all the secondary shapes, for example, in place before I start focusing on the details. Sometimes I skip ahead, but that comes with experience. And as you continue to sculpt, you're going to find yourself being able to run through these stages of sculpting or drawing, because it applies to drawing as well, real quickly. Your brain will be able to have it on autopilot, as it were. So just keep that in mind as you continue to sculpt. sculpting the nails was something I used to find very difficult to do, but using this technique, using the mask brush along with the move brush, pulling out those nails, was a technique that I was happy to learn. And once you get it, it's pretty easy. Then I refine it with smoothing and also the crease brush to get some more detail in there. And I was happy with how it turned out, and I hope I continue to improve learning this particular skill. Another thing you can do when sculpting is to remember you can over sculpt and then refine it. So for example, if you're using like the clay brush, you can kind of overdo it a little bit, not too much, and then you can use a smooth brush to kind of smooth things back out again. It's a nice way of working. You build up the details and it's easier for you to work out certain shapes without worrying about being exactly accurate with every stroke. So you can also use that while you sculpt. the brushes that I came to appreciate while working on this project was using the inflate brush for certain details. It's really amazing. I can't achieve certain things it can if I was to use other methods. Maybe that's just me, but I also appreciated the pinch brush and the kind of folds and details that it gave me, and also the clay brush for texture. I love the clay brush, and using it in this way really helped me to see its potential, and I hope to get better at it in the future. Now, once I'm happy with the sculpt, I started voxel painting. It's something that I'm still learning, but I like how easy it is to get the hang of it. I worked in layers, so I can get certain effects that would be harder to achieve if you're working on a single layer while painting. And it feels a little different. I'm more used to more control when it comes to brushes using other programs while painting. But I was able to get a pretty good result just working in Nomad Sculpt alone, which was my goal for this particular project. So now we're in the home stretch. I'm able to play with some of the new features that came out recently with Nomad. It's post-processing things such as depth of field. You're able to also color correct. And my favorite was being able to add additional lights to the scene so that you can get the kind of effect you have in mind. And you can get a pretty decent render, whether to show some previs stuff or if you want to use it to work on 2D illustrations or anything else that you think it will work for. It's a nice way to get far along in the workflow. So I hope you enjoy sculpting, and I hope to see you in the next video.